Young and the Restless Spoilers. Full Lucy had never stopped believing that her mother, Heather, was still alive. Even though her father, Daniel, and everyone else around her had insisted otherwise, Lucy couldn't shake the feeling that Heather was still out there. Somewhere. There had been too many signs, too many strange moments, when Lucy could almost feel her mother's presence lingering around her. Sometimes she'd catch a glimpse of something. A shadow, a familiar silhouette, that made her heart race with the hope that Heather wasn't truly gone. But every time Lucy voiced these thoughts, Daniel would shut them down. He had seen the body himself. The mangled corpse they had identified in the morgue had been declared as Heather's. "It's over, Lucy," he would say, his voice filled with a pain he tried hard to suppress. "She's gone. You have to accept it." Yet deep down, Lucy never fully believed him. The body had been badly disfigured, beyond recognition, and no one had been able to definitively confirm that it was Heather. It was entirely possible that someone had faked her death, and that Heather was still alive somewhere, hiding in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to return. One night, as Lucy sat alone in her room, she heard a noise. A faint creak of the floorboards, as though someone was sneaking through the hallway. Her heart leapt into her throat, and she instinctively reached for her phone, ready to call for help. But before she could move, she saw something that made her freeze in place. There, standing in the doorway, was her mother. Lucy's breath caught in her chest. Her mother's figure was unmistakable, but it was also impossible. For a brief second, she thought she was seeing a ghost. The air around her grew thick with disbelief and terror. Heather's face, so familiar yet so distant, seemed to glow in the dim light of the room. Lucy's scream tore through the silence, her body trembling with a mix of joy and fear. She didn't know whether to cry or run. But before she could do either, Heather rushed to her side, covering her mouth with her hand. "Shh," she whispered urgently, her eyes wide with intensity. "You have to stay quiet, Lucy. I'm alive, but no one can know. Not yet." Lucy's eyes widened as she processed the words. Her mother wasn't a ghost. She was real. Heather was alive, standing right in front of her, and suddenly all of Lucy's suspicions had been confirmed. She wasn't crazy after all. Heather removed her hand from Lucy's mouth, and Lucy immediately wrapped her arms around her mother, the overwhelming emotions bubbling to the surface. Tears filled her eyes as she held on to Heather, as if she were afraid she would disappear again. "Mom, I thought you were dead. Everyone thought you were dead." Lucy's voice cracked with the weight of her emotions. "I never stopped believing, but how? Why didn't you come back sooner?" Heather's expression was grim as she pulled Lucy close, her voice soft but firm. "I couldn't, Lucy. Not until it was safe. I've been hiding, trying to stay one step ahead of them. Sharon and Cameron, they did this. They wanted me dead, and they almost succeeded. But I survived, and now I need your help. No one can know I'm alive, not even your father. Not yet." Lucy's mind spun as she tried to comprehend everything. Sharon and Cameron? It didn't make sense. Sharon had always been close to their family, someone they trusted. But now, Heather was telling her that Sharon had been involved in a plot to kill her. And Cameron, his name alone sent shivers down Lucy's spine. He was supposed to be dead. But just like Heather, he had resurfaced in their lives. A shadow from the past that refused to stay buried. Heather's voice was steady but filled with rage. "They took everything from me, Lucy. They tried to take my life, my family, but they made a mistake. They left me alive, and now it's my turn to make them pay for what they've done. I'll bring them down, but we have to be careful. If they find out I'm alive before I'm ready, they'll come after us again." Lucy nodded, though fear and confusion swirled inside her. She was thrilled her mother was alive, but the danger of the situation weighed heavily on her. Cameron and Sharon were ruthless. That much was clear now. If they had gone to such lengths to eliminate Heather once, what would they do when they realized she was still alive? Lucy shuddered at the thought. For now, Lucy had to keep this incredible secret. Daniel couldn't know, and that made everything even more difficult. Her father was heartbroken, living in a world where he thought his wife was gone forever, and Lucy desperately wanted to ease his pain. But Heather had made it clear, now was not the time. Daniel would know the truth when the moment was right, when Sharon was behind bars and Cameron was no longer a threat. The weight of this secret felt unbearable. but Lucy understood. Heather needed time to gather evidence, time to set her plan in motion. Sharon had already been arrested, her involvement in various crimes slowly coming to light. But Cameron was still out there, lurking in the shadows. He was the real threat, and he wouldn't hesitate to kill again if it meant keeping his secrets buried. Lucy knew the road ahead would be dangerous, but she trusted her mother. Heather was determined to get her revenge, to take back the life that Sharon and Cameron had tried to steal from her. But the path to justice would be paved with lies and deceit. And Lucy would have to tread carefully if she wanted to survive. As Heather kissed her daughter on the forehead and disappeared into the night, leaving Lucy alone in her room once more, Lucy's heart raced with excitement and dread. Her mother was alive, and that changed everything. But now, she was part of a deadly game, one that could cost them both their lives if they weren't careful. In the days to come, Sharon would face justice for her crimes, but that was only the beginning. When the time was right, Heather would step out of the shadows and reveal the truth to everyone. She would expose Cameron for the monster he truly was and reclaim the life that had been stolen from her. And when that day came, Lucy would be by her side, ready to stand with her mother and finally put an end to the nightmare that had haunted them for so long. But until then, the secret had to stay buried, just like Heather had been.